Hey there, and welcome back to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. You're in for a place of inspiration, education, and hope for a kinder, healthier, and sustainable world, because that's what we're about here at this program. On this show, we join together in community to uplift each other, explore new ways to care for each other, ourselves, each other, and our planet, and basically also just have a good time. Today's program is made possible because of the generous support of our show sponsor, New Roots Herbal, one of the most respected natural health companies here in Canada. It was fantastic. Just this last week or so, I was able to be together with the team at the CHFA West Expo. This is like the biggest natural health expo here in Canada, and they have some exciting new products. So if you're wanting to learn more about New Roots Herbal and some of their new products, as well as some of their ongoing, long-time-lasting, wonderful products like their Acidophilus Ultra, be sure to visit their website at newroots.com. That's NEWROOTS.com. And if you'd also like to be a sponsor or support the vision of this show by making a donation, being a sponsor in any other way, contact me directly through my TheresaNicassio.com website. And my website is spelled THERESA, and like Nancy, ICA, SS like Sam, IO as an octopus.com. So, continuing with our mental health series, including today's show, we've been having some incredible folks. You may have heard when Dr. Irvin Yalom was on recently, and Dr. Jill Carnahan. Next time we're going to also have another very, very notable person. We're going to have Dr. Debbie Jaffe Ellis on. She's going to be talking about the work of her late husband, the grandfather of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, Dr. Albert Ellis, and how she's going to talk about how she's keeping alive his pioneering paradigm-shifting REBT work and the memory of his personhood. I'm really looking forward to that show. I met Debbie for the first time at the Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference just in December, and she was talking about how, Albert Ellis, he was such a sweetheart. Most people don't know what a sweetie he was. So we're going to hear more about that next time. For today's program, we have with us the author and founder, I'm so excited, of the Society for Recovering Doormats, Ivy Tobin. She's going to make us laugh and maybe cry. She's going to share with us some of her favorite tips to help you transform yourself from being a doormat to being able to be you, really be the unique person that you're meant to be. With the Women's March and the Stand Up and the Me Too movement, this interview couldn't be more timely. And I'm telling you, when I think it was about a year ago, I came across the Society of Recovering Doormats, and I was reading about it, and I said, oh my God, I've got to have this woman on the show. So I contacted her through social media, and here we are today. I'm so thrilled to be able to share her with you. A little bit about Ivy. Before launching her career as a writer, she started out as an actor in New York City. You may have seen her when she made appearances, most notably in films and television series like One Life to Live, Another World, Spin City, The Secret of My Success, Texas, A Stranger Among Us, and The Quiz Show. Today, Ivy's going to share with us how and why she started this amazing Society for Recovering Doormats, and how she transformed herself from being a people pleaser into an empowered woman with a voice and mission to help others like herself get off the floor, as she likes to say, and learn to love themselves. Ivy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, Theresa, it is totally my pleasure. I love your show. I love your whole platform. And I hope that I can live up to all of those accolades that you generously shared with your viewers, with your listeners.
Yes,
and anyway, so, I think it's very meant to be that this show is happening on March 8th, International Women's Day. And the marches, and I believe in signs and following your life according to the signposts and your gut. so it's all good. This is absolutely the perfect day for us to connect together.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny you should mention that, because this seems to keep happening. I have not been planning it this way, but I guess some higher force has been guiding it. When we had, last year, we had Christine Blanchette come on, and she was talking about her experiences around disordered eating, anorexia, so forth, and it was on the same week, the exact same week as Eating Disorders Awareness Week. We hadn't planned it for that way, but this is yet one more of those awesome signs, and this is just perfect. So, given that we're going to be talking more about this sort of theme as well, but can we just start? If you could share with us a little bit about how you came up with the idea of starting the Society for Recovering Doormats. What was your why for this?
It wasn't my intent to actually, I'm going to start a society for doormats. It was nothing like that. My background is in writing. I was an actor in New York for a long time, and I was also a writer. And I had worked on this novel for about 8 years, and in between, I raised a family, was a stay-at-home mom, and I wrote a novel, and then I was trying to get it published. And I got about 100 rejection notices, and I was fed up. I couldn't do it anymore, so I said, I just can't do this anymore. I went to my therapy, which I have had about 15 different wonderful therapists over the course of my years on this planet. And I said, look, I just can't do this anymore. I'm sick of these rejections. It just is, And he said to me to do something else, just to put the book away and do something else. And I was like, very overwhelmed, and I'm not going to write another book. I just, I can't take this rejection. He goes, no, don't write a book. Why don't you go on social media and just do a page and talk about something that, you're really good at. So Theresa, I didn't even know how to do, email or Facebook, really. I was completely computer challenged, and I was like, well, what would I even talk about? I'm not very good at anything. He goes, well, come on, everybody's good at something. I said, well, let's see, I'm not cleaning, not crocheting, knitting. I said, you know what, I'm a great people pleaser. I guess I'm a good doormat. And he looked at me and said, well, why don't you go online and talk about that?
Wow. That is so funny.
What?
Yeah, so you're that East Coast, because you're from, New Jersey, right?
I'm sorry?
You're from the East Coast.
This happened, actually, we had moved from New Jersey to Florida. Right. And that was with my husband, got transferred with his business, and I spent a lot of time writing and trying to, submit my stuff. And I was with a wonderful therapist on the west coast of Florida, and he's the one, that said that. And then I just, thought about it, and for, 3 months, I was like, well, maybe I can do this. I don't know. What name would I give it? I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, that's just zero.
That's amazing.
So, what?
So, but you were onto something. I mean, it's like, so that was a few years ago, and now we have this, the whole Women's March, the Me Too movement. Can you talk a little bit about how this society that you've developed, the Society for Recovering Doormats, ties in with the Me Too movement?
Well, we're a group of people that have been sucked in to the narcissistic, self-serving people with agendas, because we're too trusting, too nice, we're people pleasers. And in the Society for Recovering Doormats, it's a place where people can come to share, to talk about themselves, to see they're not alone, that they need to stand up and speak out. And that is a very common note and a common thread for almost anybody who is attracted to my platform, to my groups, over, my blog and over on Facebook. And now I have another group within Facebook called the Society for Recovering Doormats, No More Narcissists group. So we have a lot of people over there that are standing up, speaking out, venting. And, it just is very parallel to what's going on with the whole Me Too movement.
Right.
I mean, I started this 5 years ago, not really a clue where it was going or where it was headed, very organically, to just engage myself, do something different than submit my book and get rejections, which ultimately I did tie into my the Society for Recovering Doormats. I reframed it, and a year and a half to 2 years later, I published it. So
right, and that's My Life as a Doormat, a great book, beautiful book, yeah.
Thank you.
So some of you may be familiar with that, and that's where you fictionalize. You kind of brought your own autobiographical story, but you fictionalized it with another character, your alter ego. I think you'd describe as Rose Gardner. And you want to talk a little bit about what you're trying to do with that book, who you think, how you think, yes.
The book is a fictional memoir. Rose Gardner is a fictional character. It is a fictional account of a young girl struggling in Manhattan during the 1980s. Now, of course, people write about what they know. And, I just interjected a lot of my personal experiences into the book. And Rose Gardner is my alter ego in the book, but is Rose Gardner me? Not 100%. Are the characters in the book real people? Not at all. They're fictional. Every single person in that book is a fictional character, an amalgamation of people I've met, people I've seen, people I know, but it isn't one person that is really real. So it really is not my autobiography, but you write about what you know. I'm not going to write a math book. I'm certainly not going to write a science book. So I wrote stories that happened somewhat, kind of sort of like what's in the book, but not really. But if you were to read the book, the most authentic chapter in there, if you want to say, what chapter in this book is like, can you relate to the most and is closest to your experiences in New York, I'd have to say chapter 10, Cue the Girl. So that pretty much happened, but a lot of things are changed in it because it is fiction.
So if someone were to be picking up that book and reading, maybe someone who's passionate about what's, with the Me Too, maybe they've had experiences of being abused or having a hard time speaking up, how might that book be? How might that book move them? How might it be, something that would touch their lives in a meaningful way?
Well, in the book, Rose Gardner is very naive and very much a people pleaser and thinks that everybody is good, and she ends up being victimized by the bad boyfriend, the bad roommates, the bad situations, the bad job, and her parents are kind of unsupportive. So I'm not going to give away the ending of the book. But Rose struggles. It's very hard. It's not a cakewalk for her. But by the end of the book, Rose manages to come out on top.
Yeah, so that theme of empowerment, I think, is part of
right.
the thread that goes through all that you're doing with your society and with the book and with that.
It's people that are struggling and think, I can't do this. How can I do this? I don't have the confidence. I just, you know, they don't have any faith in themselves. All they have to do is follow Rose Gardner on this journey in New York, and at the end, she manages to land on her feet. And if she can do it, anybody can do it.
So can you, all of you who are listening right now. So just another question, and you know,
yes.
it may go into the next segment, but we'll see how we do on time. You know, because you were working in the industry, you were working in the film industry and in the TV industry, and we all have been hearing all the reports with you know, with lots of folks where there's lines crossed, where there's not a lot of respect, where people, and we've been hearing from a lot of women who were treated as doormats or worse. But now, how has this been for you as having worked for many years in the industry, and also your own inner discovery of the challenges to find your voice and to be who you are? You know, what's this like for you, hearing all these reports?
Well, it's ringing a lot of familiar bells. And I have to tell you, it wasn't only in the entertainment industry, because I was a struggling actor. I worked temp jobs. I worked in restaurants. I worked for doctors. I worked for, you know, corporations. And I can think about 10 times that I was treated in a very inappropriate way. And not so much in a sexual abuse way, but yelled at, condescended to. I was shoved by one employer.
Wow.
And a few times, you know, I guess I felt marginalized and demeaned on an audition here and there. But, you know, it was the 1980s. And people just didn't say anything. I thought, hey, you know what? It's okay for this doctor to shove me against the treatment table because I made a mistake. It's okay because I screwed up. I thought that was okay.
Okay, I want to pause you there, because this is huge, what you're touching on. Okay, so those of you who are listening, probably are thinking to yourself about it's maybe flashing for you memories of having someone, whether it was an employer or maybe your beloved partner, spouse, or a parent, being, you know, or a coach. I recently was in a what do you call it, a summit about kind of trying to stop abuse and bullying in sports. This is another area that it's not really been questioned, and then now recently with the whole NASAR event, it's really come to the surface. So this is probably, as you're listening, this could be touching something. So let's talk about, because it's not so much about the being shoved, which is already horrific and it's not unacceptable, but what I'd like you to share with the listeners is a little bit about your inner world and how, what you were just saying about how you thought maybe it was okay because you screwed up. You deserved it.
Oh, I deserved it because I
belief that you did.
made a mistake. I served the coffee cold. I didn't, you know, say the right thing to the patient. I was late. I was not, you know. Yeah, I definitely, it was my bad, and I deserved to be screamed at or, you know, yelled at, and it was okay because I had no self-esteem. And that, you know, in the 80s, we were the baby boomers, which what I'm part of that generation. We were taught by our well-meaning parents, many of us, to, you know, be nice, go along with the crowd, don't make waves,
turn the other cheek.
Everybody better than you treat yourself.
Yeah, so I have to jump in, and all of you who are listening know that I'm a psychologist, and one of the areas I've done a tremendous amount of work is with people who have been abused, and I just want to make it, put it on the record, put the record straight here, that you are never, I don't care what you do wrong, I don't care how many times you screw up, no one ever deserves to be treated that way, and I don't care if you're a child, I don't care if you're a partner, I don't care if you're an employee. We can make mistakes, but no one deserves to be treated that way. And I want to, we can talk more about that. We need to go for a break, but we can talk more about, how we think about ourselves, and even believe sometimes that we deserve to be bullied and harmed in some of these ways. So stick around, folks. We'll be right back with more with Ivy after a few messages. You'll go away.
Being inspired by a speaker while learning everyday positive information that you can use to help your life is exactly what Dr. Theresa Nicassio does when she speaks in front of your group. From healthcare professionals to special needs parenting and everything in between, Dr. Theresa Nicassio can customize topics for your group on everything from health to psychology. To book Dr. Theresa Nicassio as a speaker for your group, visit yumfoodforliving.com or call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
Yumfoodforliving.com is the place to get easy, allergy-free recipes, all free of sugar, gluten, and dairy. But that's not all you'll get when you visit yumfoodforliving.com. You'll get resources for all kinds of things like wellness articles, videos, podcasts, a blog, all to help you create easy, healthy living. There's even a 50-page downloadable book introducing you to the philosophy of yum. Don't wait. Visit yumfoodforliving.com. Yumfoodforliving.com. That's yumfoodforliving.com.
If you like to spend your television viewing time learning about some of the things that you may have missed in history class, or if history was your favorite subject, then you should check out the link to the History Channel on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page. Order DVD sets by series or by subject matter right from our homepage while you still enjoy your favorite HealthyLife.net show.
You're listening to HealthyLife.net, the radio network that brings positive talk with positive change to make your world a little better.
Welcome back to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. For those of you who are just joining us, on today's show we're talking about the Me Too movement. We're talking about abuse. We're also talking about tips. Ultimately, we're going to be talking more about tips about ways to learn to love yourself. And we're here with the founder of the Society for Recovering Doormats, Ivy Tobin. So just before the break, those of you who are just joining us, just to catch you up to speed, Ivy was talking a little bit about how she used to work in the entertainment industry, and as well as other industries. It didn't matter. There was many situations that she worked in where she found that there were times where there were, maybe a boss would not treat her very well. She even mentioned that she was shoved by a doctor on the treatment table because she had screwed something up. She'd made a mistake. And was talking a little bit how she used to believe that she deserved it because she did mess up, and that was how we were taught. That's how we, sometimes can think about this in our society, that if we do something wrong, whether we're a child, whether we're an athlete on a sports team, whether we're an actress in a program, it doesn't matter, that we deserve it. And I really want to talk more about this because this is huge. And this is, Ivy was talking about how it was in the 80s, but this is, as we both know, this is still going on. And Ivy, I don't know the story, but Ivy was mentioning that she has a story that really kind of undergirds some of how her thinking was. And so, Ivy, would you be willing to share with us? Because again, listeners, I don't know the story either, so we're going to be hearing about this together.
It's not overnight that somebody is a doormat, that has no self-esteem, that just allows people to push them around, and that they think less of themselves. It starts in childhood, Theresa. I remember very vividly. I've had one incident happen when I was 8 years old, and it definitely, I can absolutely pinpoint that time in my life when my self-esteem was completely obliterated. I had a friend who's I had a big crush on him, and I won't say his name, but I was only 8, and he lived up the street from me, and I would go over to his house every day, and we would play outside, and his brother was about 14, 15, quite a bit older than 8-year-olds, and I remember one day his brother, my classmate who I had a big crush on, said to me, Ivy, I want you to come into the garage. I want to show you something. And I said, oh, okay. So I went into a garage, and the door was shut, at which point he proceeded to pull his pants down, and he exposed himself to me. Mm-hmm. And I had no clue what he was doing because I was 8. And it was the 1960s and it wasn't like today where everybody knows everything by the time they're 4. I was like, what? I was just absolutely astonished. And then I remember him asking me to touch it, and I knew that something was wrong. I just knew all the hairs on the back of my head were standing up. I felt like I was going to throw up, and I ran out of there, not even knowing why it was wrong or anything, and I ran home, and I went in my bedroom, and my mother came in, and she's like, what happened? And I was so embarrassed and ashamed that I didn't want to tell my mother, but finally I told my mother what happened, and I begged her. She got very upset, and I didn't even know why she was getting upset, because I didn't know what it meant, that, what had happened. I just knew that it was a horrible thing at some level. And when I told her, she started telling my father, I'm going right over there and I'm going to talk to blah-de-blah's father and tell him. And I was horrified because, this is my friend's brother, and this friend, this boy, my 8-year-old, my first crush, he would hate me. So, lo and behold, my mother went over there and did talk to the teenager's father, who was a very prominent professor at a college in the town that I grew up in, and that was it. I mean, it was all hushed up after that. The boy got no discipline. His brother, my friend, then turned on me, was mean to me, spread rumors about me. I was 8.
Wow.
So that was the beginning. And I really think, I mean, I remember this, and I think that was the beginning that laid the foundation for how I would think about myself.
Yeah. And Ivy, with this Me Too, during this Me Too time, the story is, I'm sure, resonating with many of you listening today. And as you've been listening to Ivy share her story, I want to make sure that you take care of yourself as well, because it can be, it's really wrong, and unfortunately it happens, and it's not just in the 1960s, it happens all the time. And Ivy, many kids when they're 4 maybe are more educated, but many people still don't know. And even if you do know that, as little kids, you're 8, it's like, you don't even know how to process this information. Even if you're told things, you don't really know how to process it.
Right.
And you went in so innocently. You really had this crush on this boy, and then his big brother wants to show you something. You think, this makes you feel kind of special, and then you step in and you realize it's a trap. And I mean, thank goodness you were able to run away. But how terrifying and confusing, and then afterwards it's just like life goes on, but you've got this weird memory that you're trying to metabolize and understand. And
right. I mean, I didn't get any kind of, my mother and father never talked about it again. They didn't want to discuss it. They said stay away from the boy and his brother, stay away from the family, and don't tell anybody about this, okay? So the shame, right? And I think, I'm not blaming my parents. I'm not blaming anybody. I really believe that our parents did the best they could. They didn't know any better. It wasn't like today. But I can, I truly believe that if it was dealt with in a empowered, insightful, aware way, where I was given therapy, or I was allowed to talk about it, I was allowed to share it, it wouldn't have impacted me in such a negative way.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Wonderful words. And Ivy, when we come back, because we're going to need to head off for another break, but I'd like to carry on a little bit more about this, and what your wisdom, you're touching upon some of the wisdom that you have about how to do things differently, because we want to empower our listeners around this, both parents as well as people who have been through similar experiences. So we're going to talk more about the Me Too, the Stand Up, Speak Up, all of that with Ivy Tobin, the founder of the Society for Recovering Doormats, when we return. Don't go away.
There's a book that makes it so easy to embrace a healthy, gluten-free lifestyle, even kids will like it. Filled with heartwarming stories, food as medicine health tips, easy allergy-free recipes, and creative culinary inventions, the award-winning book Yum by Dr. Theresa Nicassio is your source for all of this and more. So make gluten-free living easy, tasty, and fun. Get Yum, plant-based recipes for a gluten-free diet at Amazon.com. Or visit yumfoodforliving.com. That's yumfoodforliving.com.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
When you have a food allergy or dietary limitation, Dr. Theresa Nicassio knows it's hard to give up the foods you love, so she decided to put on her chef hat and give you affordable, personalized culinary consultations that will light up your taste buds. You'll explore substitute ingredients so you can enjoy your favorite foods again. She'll even help you make food preparation easy and guide you on your path to healthy living. And to get started, all you have to do is call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
YumFoodForLiving.com is the place to get easy, allergy-free recipes, all free of sugar, gluten, and dairy. But that's not all you'll get when you visit YumFoodForLiving.com. You'll get resources for all kinds of things like wellness articles, videos, podcasts, a blog, all to help you create easy, healthy living. There's even a 50-page downloadable book introducing you to the philosophy of yum. Don't wait. Visit YumFoodForLiving.com. YumFoodForLiving.com. That's YumFoodForLiving.com.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
Welcome back to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. Today, the founder of the Society for Recovering Doormats, Ivy Tobin, is with us, talking about how she learned to be a people pleaser. And also, she's talking about how this can rob, being a people pleaser and some of the things that lead to being a people pleaser can rob you of your voice and personal power. And just before the break, as those of you who were listening know, Ivy was sharing a very poignant story that is not, unfortunately, it's not unfamiliar to many of you listening. It's actually the first time that Ivy has apparently shared this publicly about the real ins and outs of when she was 8 years old and had a crush on the boy down the street, and his big brother invited her to show her something, and it turned out it was to sexually expose himself, and it was very traumatizing for Ivy. But more important than the actual what happened, the impact of that on Ivy and her self-esteem. This was a seed, and so Ivy, let's talk a little bit more about that, and I'd like you to also, if you would, as you're talking, I'd like you to speak to the listeners, because I know so many of you want to hear from Ivy directly, and for you to share some of not only the experiences but your wisdom, what you've learned and what you'd like to share with them as from this experience.
Well, that experience happened when I was 8, and it was just a little seed planted for my low self-esteem, and it really wasn't until I became, older, and I realized that, that there was another way to live, and I, like I said, I can say that there are 10 signs that you can look out for to see if you are engaging in people-pleasing, doormatish behavior. And it even led me to putting together a workbook, which I'm very excited about, Theresa. It's called Off the Floor, and it's a companion workbook to my site, the Society for Recovering Doormats, and I am going to be releasing it online on March 18th. It'll be available on my website, and I'm going to share links onto my page, and I'll be happy to send you a link. And it's a workbook that I think will be very happy. It will be very helpful to people pleasers. It has the beginning is 10 signs that you're a doormat, and these are the 10 signs that you're in the right place, getting the right insight from me. Number 1 would be accepting and justifying unacceptable behavior. 2 is assuming responsibility for others' bad moods. 3 is blaming yourself for everything, and that's a big one. It's not our fault. We just have to remember that. And number 4, accepting blame from others even if you aren't to blame. 5, continuously apologizing. 6, allowing others to demean you by staying silent. 7, avoiding confrontation at all costs, which I have to just say as an aside, yeah, check, and double check for me. Number 8, negating your feelings to accommodate others. Oh, and that would be like a 5-checker on this end. Number 9, not happy unless everyone I'm surrounded by is happy. Yup. And 10, feel invisible. And I think my invisibility started as that little 8-year-old child in the garage. And, can't change the past. It is what it is. But I've finally figured it out as a seasoned adult. And if I can help others to feel better about themselves, and I love to interact with people, I love to write, I love to create, and it just is a win-win for me in terms of what I'm doing now and what I have been doing for the past 5 years. So the name of my new workbook, like I said, is called Off the Floor. And are you interested in knowing the title of the chapter, Theresa?
No, I think this is all good stuff. Okay. I think in terms of the names of it, if there's anything in particular you want our listeners to know, what I'm going to do once you have the link and it's up and running, folks, this is like right around the corner. I'm very excited for your launch of this. Is we'll add the link for Ivy's workbook, folks, Off the Floor, to her page. And you know that for all the shows, for every single show, I create a web page, profile page for each of the guests, each of the shows, and on it has all the information you need, links to Ivy's Facebook, her website. We'll have maybe in big bold about the Off the Floor, and I make it so it's easy. You just click on the image or the words, and you go straight to those places. So be sure to pass that along, because I know a lot of you folks out there will love to have access to those materials. And I just want to, as you're speaking, I'm thinking a lot about someone else who's such an inspirational woman, and for many of us, and actually Oprah Winfrey's mentor, Maya Angelou, who, when she was very young, you probably know this story, she wrote a book called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I don't remember when that was published. It was the 90s, or I don't know exactly. I read it a long, long time ago. But, her story of also being sexually abused, and after that she became mute. She stopped speaking for many, many, many years, elective mutism, and they didn't know why, and it turned out it was associated with having not just the abuse, but because of how it was responded to, was so traumatizing for her, and it took her a long time to recover, and that's a whole other story. But, folks, we have another break. We will be coming back with Ivy for a little bit more of this goodness and information. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Being inspired by a speaker while learning everyday positive information that you can use to help your life is exactly what Dr. Theresa Nicassio does when she speaks in front of your group. From healthcare professionals to special needs parenting and everything in between, Dr. Theresa Nicassio can customize topics for your group on everything from health to psychology. To book Dr. Theresa Nicassio as a speaker for your group, visit yumfoodforliving.com or call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463.
If you're like the 8 out of 10 women that say finding jeans that fit is a problem, well, your problem is solved. Lee Jeans has done extensive research, and they have jeans that fit. There's even an online Lee Fit Finder so you can find the right fit for you. Imagine jeans that instantly slim you with a custom fit and no gap waistband. And guys, kids, Lee has jeans for you too. Click through to Lee's Jeans on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and get what fits.
When you have a food allergy or dietary limitation, Dr. Theresa Nicassio knows it's hard to give up the foods you love, so she decided to put on her chef hat and give you affordable, personalized culinary consultations that will light up your taste buds. You'll explore substitute ingredients so you can enjoy your favorite foods again. She'll even help you make food preparation easy and guide you on your path to healthy living. And to get started, all you have to do is call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463. There's a book that makes it so easy to embrace a healthy, gluten-free lifestyle, even kids will like it. Filled with heartwarming stories, food as medicine health tips, easy allergy-free recipes, and creative culinary inventions, the award-winning book Yum by Dr. Theresa Nicassio is your source for all of this and more. So make gluten-free living easy, tasty, and fun. Get Yum, plant-based recipes for a gluten-free diet at Amazon.com. Or visit yumfoodforliving.com. That's yumfoodforliving.com.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. If you're just tuning in, author and founder of the Society for Recovering Doormats is with us sharing tips about how to reclaim your voice and personal power. And Ivy is going to be sharing with us in this last segment. She's got 10 tips that specifically will help you if you're a people pleaser. And don't worry if you miss some of them, because we will have all of this information, these tips, and even maybe some of those signs. We're going to put all of these things that you need onto the TheresaNicassio.com website. We'll have the information either on it or hyperlinks that you can access everything. And you just go to Ivy's page, and you will be good to go. So let's just get firing at it, because there's challenges that we've been talking about, but now we're looking at the solutions, because that's the most empowering place. So go for it, Ivy.
Okay. Here you go. Here are the 10 tips. We call them the 10 Mataversal tips over at the Society for Recovering Doormats to stop people pleasing. Number 1, realize that you have a choice. Number 2, set your priorities. Number 3, consider if you're being manipulated. Number 4, say no like you mean it. Number 5, don't give a list of excuses. Number 6, don't apologize if it's not your fault. 7, set clear boundaries and follow through. 8, don't be scared of the fallout. 9, pat yourself on the back when you've been successful. And 10, realize you can't please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And those are simple tips to help you, stand up, speak out, get off the floor, and be out the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they're simple, but they're not necessarily easy when it comes
to... They're not easy,
yeah,
but they're things that everybody can think about and can do. If you didn't realize you had a choice. So for a long time, I never knew that I had a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that with each of those, with your off-the-floor program, you even go into more detail and about how and all that. I'd like to highlight the one that stands out for me as a therapist, that I think is oftentimes one of the biggest reasons, things that keep people trapped in that people-pleasing, and that is the fear of the fallout, fear of the potential fallout if you speak up, if you tell your truth. That, again, many of you may be thinking, I really want to have my voice, but horrible things would happen. Horrible things would happen. It would be catastrophe if I said this. And so, do you want to speak a little bit more about that particular tip?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that it's just fear is the biggest enemy of people pleasers. And because we're afraid to disappoint, and that's why a lot of us just will be accommodating and stay silent. And when you speak out, there is always the chance that your friends are not going to like what you say, and you're going to have a confrontation. Or even worse, they're going to leave. But I think it's important to know that if people who are authentically your friends, people that authentically love you and cherish you and appreciate you, are not going to leave you because you have a difference of opinion or because you've shared something that is uncomfortable for them to hear. Mm-hmm. And if they do, then you're better off without them because they were a phantom friend. It wasn't real. And I think, as I get older, I only want real, authentic people in my life. And the rest, they're doing me a favor if they leave. So, and as far as being afraid of the fallout of what's going to happen, it isn't really our responsibility to think about that, I think. I think it's just our responsibility to be truthful to who we are and to live our life authentically and truthfully and make no apology for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna interject here a big plug for seeking support, whether it's someone who is someone you can trust in your world, whether it's a parent, a friend, a teacher, someone who you can trust, because there's a fear of things that of disappointing, but there also sometimes can be a fear of retribution, and I know because of the work that I've done that sometimes people are threatened that if you say something, I'm going to do something to someone you love or your pet, and there can be very serious things that can be there, and so there may be times if you really are feeling afraid of something serious that could come out of this, even if it's not physically serious like one of those things, but emotionally could be very, very difficult. Either way, along all of this, if you can get the support of a counselor, a therapist who's trained and can help you ensure more safety as you do this, learning this new way of being and speaking up and living your truth. That because I don't want you to go and do something and then feel like if something really bad happens that you didn't foresee. So get some support. That's really, really important. And those are. I just want to thank you for those tips, Ivy. You're doing amazing work, and again, you can learn more about Ivy on the website, and then you'll go to her website and go to her Facebook page, which is going virtually viral. It's really just exploding with people are joining that community. But I want to say this was just really wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ivy. It was a real pleasure having you on today's program.
Well, I've been looking forward to this, and it's been great. I want to thank you for finding me and encouraging me to come on your show. And I've had an absolute wonderful time talking with you, Theresa.
Wonderful. And I want to thank all of you out there listening for tuning in today. I know that some of the material was challenging to listen to, but it's also to hear about, the real things going on. I hope you enjoyed the program. I also want to thank our sponsor, New Roots Herbal, for their generous support in making this show possible. Be sure to tune in next time when Dr. Debbie Joffe Ellis will be talking about the work of her late husband, the grandfather of CBT, Dr. Albert Ellis, and how she's keeping his work and memory alive. And for more information about this show, and also to access the free wellness resources that are all available at Theresa's Wellness Hub, visit my website at TheresaNicassio.com, TheresaNicassio.com. I'm Theresa, and this has been the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. Until next time, have a great week.